live tonight on Third Phase of Moon Radio.
We have straight from Mexico City, Mr. Jaime Maussan. Mr. Jaime, how are you today?
Very well, thank you very much.
Well, it's a pleasure to have you on the show. Jaime Maussan is at the forefront of UFOs in Latin America. More than that, he has been hosting Mexico's version of 60 Minutes for over 40 years. He is the top-of-the-line journalist as they come, and he also hosts a weekly show called Tercer Milenio, which is very, very popular. Now, let me just jump in and ask you this question, Mr. Maussan. Why is it that it seems like disclosure seems to be coming faster, or people seem to be believing more in South America and in Mexico and everywhere but the United States? Can you tell us?
Well, because the interests of the governments are different. In the United States, it was decided that this phenomenon was a matter of national security since 1947, and has been kept that way since then. In Latin America, we just somehow follow the line from the U.S. for a long time. But now, with so many sightings, so many videos, and so much more opening, a new generation, with all that really is shaping a new attitude to the phenomenon. Now in Mexico and in other places where there is more freedom and the media doesn't love or doesn't make fun of this phenomenon, it's now becoming an important reality for people, you know. In the U.S., the media still makes fun of it, try to discredit every time, and that is why it's a very different story what is happening in the world and what is happening in the U.S. One very good example is what is happening right now in Russia. In Russia, the media, all the media, has embraced the phenomenon, and all of them have special shows, special investigations. Every time there is a new good video, a video that promised to be real, it's presented in television. In many cases, they made their own investigations. For example, in Ukraine, just a month ago, they had a crop circle, a crop formation for the first time, and was a big event for the media. Everybody went there. There was a huge investigation, and everybody learned about that. Then I think that is somehow picturing what is happening around the world. In Russia, I have to tell you that they are very close or closer than the U.S. to accept this phenomenon as real. I think the authorities now have a very different attitude, and they, as well as the U.S., have recovered UFOs, have recovered bodies, and they know it's true. But now finally, the government there is not making fun of the phenomenon, is not pressuring the media, and they are letting this event to be presented as it is. Then I believe they are expecting that something is going to happen soon.
You know,
Jaime,
go ahead, Blake.
Yeah, sure thing. Jaime, welcome to Third Phase. This is Blake Cousins. I really appreciate you coming on the show. I wanted to get down to disclosure and why the U.S. government and the media, you know, like John says, they really don't take it seriously. Every time a UFO is mentioned, legit video is there. There's something in the sky. The reporters will always kind of smile and put a tongue-in-cheek kind of twist on it and make a joke out of it, like you're saying. And I don't know what it's going to take to convince the U.S. government of taking this thing seriously.
Well, we have to go back to the beginning to understand why all this is happening. For example, let's take the Aztec case, a case that happened in the 25th of March, 1948, in Aztec, New Mexico. There was information that was somehow filtered to the press. There was a book written by Frank Scully. There were people who released all this information, even at least 12 scientists that were working at the Los Alamos nuclear plant. And all this case was taken by the government, and instead of pressuring or threatening people to kill them or disappearing them as it happened in Roswell, This time, what they did was to discredit, like, for example, Leo Gebauer, a very prominent businessman who was one of the people connected to the scientists and also to Frank Scully, a journalist that presented the news and also wrote a very important book. And if you follow the story, these people was taken to court, and they were somehow judged, and they were found guilty because they have filtered the information to journalists. And the reason they did it is a very different one. They were charged with transporting a check of money from one state to the other, something that is very ridiculous. But with that, they were taken to the court, and again, they were somehow declared guilty. From that moment, many understood that the United States was not ready to accept this, and they were ready to take punishment to the people who insisted to release this kind of information. And you have to remember all the pilots and people who decided to speak openly about this, what happened to them. Every one of them was somehow criticized. They lost their jobs, and from that time, the idea to make ridicule of this phenomenon has persisted through the years. Why this is not happening in Russia, for example? Why in many other countries in South America is not happening the same thing? Because it was never done as a campaign as it happened in the U.S. That's, I believe, one of the main reasons why until now the media is not ready to accept, because they know this is going to be ridiculized, and they don't want to take the risk of their own channels or newspapers making somehow being related to this phenomenon.
You know, you're absolutely
I mean, it happened to me at the beginning. You know, I was censorship, and many people tried to attack me, especially from the media. And now I am here. My show is, as you announced, is a weekly show, 2 hours, national television, and I present everything that is happening around the world, something that is not being presented in the U.S. and almost in any country. And for that reason, in Mexico, the attitude of everyone when you present this phenomenon as real, and you present investigations, and you present the witnesses and the analysis, and you give credibility to it, then it's a very different story. But in the media in the U.S., nobody seems to be somehow taking the chance to do that.
You know, you're absolutely correct when you say that here the media fears it, and journalists fear it because there have been declassified documents straight from the CIA that were released from the Freedom of Information Act, which showed that they were told that they are allowed to shut down a story minutes before it airs, that they are allowed to ridicule, discredit the witnesses, do anything it takes to get away from that story. And I think you're absolutely correct. It takes a journalist, a courageous one such as yourself, to stand in the face of them. But I think now things are changing because the science is changing. The world has to become more acceptable of what's going on. 30 years ago, it was all science books that said we were the only solar system in this galaxy, in this universe. Now, all the children going to school are learning that there are billions of planets in our galaxy alone, let alone other galaxies, and up to
17 billion.
Exactly, and
like the Earth, and 24 billion more that are called super Earths. it means that at least 41 billion planets like Earth exist just in this galaxy. And this is official. I'm not speculating and I'm not giving any assume. This is a scientific reality. And you have to think about how many of those planets have intelligent life. How many of those intelligent civilizations have been able to develop, to really survive and develop the technology and the science necessary to travel? Because the only reason the scientists that don't accept this phenomenon as real is because they say, okay, there is intelligent life in other planets, but we cannot accept that they can come to Earth. And you know why? Because we cannot do it. And since we still believe we are the center of the universe, if we cannot do it, then nobody else could. I believe that the scientists and the media, but also the scientists, have lost their objectivity related to this phenomenon. Nobody investigates this seriously because others, attack them or attack him, and nobody is willing to take the chance to be ridiculed as a scientist because they could lose all the possibilities to continue their own investigations in their own fields. Then that is why everyone, even as a protection, as a precaution, don't talk about the phenomenon because they could be risking everything they have. And this is very unfortunate. It's the same position that the priests and the church had in the 17th century with Galileo, that they were the first to oppose to what he had found. And now the scientists, they don't want to even take a look on any case because they know they cannot do anything. I have so many examples where there is physical evidence, there is enough scientific data to make some cases not just believable but provable. And then this is, I believe, this is a shame for the scientists of our time. But time will demonstrate that this is real and that we are being visited not by one or two, but by, I don't know, dozens or hundreds of different civilizations. We don't know their agenda. We don't know what they think. It's very difficult to make some, pronostics for the future. You cannot go in advance or try to understand what is going to happen next because we don't know how they think. But that they are real and they are here, that's for sure. And they are doing things like producing sounds that are a very clear message. They are producing these crop formations not just in England but now around the world, which are also a clear message. I just came back from England a couple of days ago. I was there. I have to tell you that this was not the best season for formations. It was very poor in number and the designs compared to other years. However, this year, the so-called circle makers, the people who say that they are the ones who are responsible, in the middle of the season they say they are not doing it anymore because they are sick, they are tired, and even though we had some 20 formations after they announced that they were not going to continue. That proves that nobody is doing them but somebody else, and that this phenomenon should be more important and should be more analyzed by the scientists, because there is so much information that we have received there, and in many times because we don't have the best minds analyzing this, unfortunately we lose the chance to understand what they are trying to say. But I am convinced after 10 or more years investigating this in England that the phenomenon is absolutely real. You have to be there, you have to be in the fields, you have to be there in the middle of the night to understand that it's impossible to make something like this in the middle of the night. You can do very poor formations, very poor examples, you can try, but if you see the results and you compare them to the real ones, it's very evident that most of these formations are not done by people. And
Joe Kiernan out of
somebody's trying to communicate with us. Yes.
Yeah, Joe Kiernan out of South Carolina, the UFO hunter, I know has a question for you, but I wanted to ask first. I know we at Third Phase of the Moon, we have over 70 million views, and the people that comment on the YouTube channel, it's not all fun and games. There's a lot of, I think we've been called everything in the book. And like you say, the ridicule is fierce against the UFO phenomenon. But I wanted to ask you, in light of that, and you're taking it head on, what got you started into the UFO investigation?
Oh, because I am very interested in the future of humanity. And for a long time, in 60 Minutes in Mexico, I presented many investigations related to environment because we were seeing more than 30 years ago what was happening with global warming, with the effects and changes in the El Niño current, with especially with the extinction of a species, and we were really, really worried. And then I understood in 1991 that the possibility to accept that we are being visited and presented in a very believable way, in a very critical way, would be a good chance to make people change, to make people more mature, to convert humans instead of being cosmic adolescents to become adults, cosmic adults that can really take care of their own planet, you know. Then when I started this, my proposal was to make this event serious and to try this journalistically. I'm not an ufologist, I am a journalist, and what I do is to investigate every case and present those that I think are real and take my chances. Probably sometimes we could be wrong or something, but you have to have the courage to do it and to expose what you think, not just two sides of every story, but to present what you believe after your investigation. I refuse many cases. There is so much evidence that is never presented on television because we are very careful in that. But when we found a case that is real, that can be supported with the investigation and the evidences are very evident, then we present them in television, and that is why through the years we have been able to win credibility, and that is why I believe we have been able to change in many the idea that we are being visited by other civilizations.
Joe, go ahead.
Jaime, yes, I wanted to quickly get in before we get to a break in a few minutes here. Can you just touch on the strength of the claims that a lot of Central Americans are having in regards to the volcanic activity? Has that escalated, or does it maintain the claims to still be the same as before? No, in Mexico it's still the same. As a matter of fact, even more. In 1991, when I started this investigation, because I was invited to a television program, a debate, because as journalist in 60 Minutes, I presented the Billy Mayer story. The only time 60 Minutes presented a UFO story. That is why I was invited to this debate. And in those programs, the eclipse just happened on July 11, 1991. And there were some videos obtained from that time that we presented and became very popular around the world. From that moment, I received many calls in those shows telling me that there was so much activity close to the volcano of Popocatépetl. Then, in 1992, a team of 60 Minutes went inside the crater to see what we could find. And we found that the temperature in the lake inside the crater
very high, 50 centigrades, more than 100, 120 Fahrenheit. Then the activity continued. By 1994, it was very intense. We had many videos of strange objects near the volcano that we were able to announce that something was going to happen with the volcano. And this was in October 1994 when we presented in 60 Minutes this announcement. By the end of that year, we had the first eruption. Then we started to connect the activity of the volcano with the activity of the UFOs. And this continued, and in 1998 to the year 2000, there were so many sightings and some very good photographs, and especially one that happened on December 19th, year 2000, where you can clearly see a UFO going in the photograph very fast, going to the crater and turn, because as you can imagine, this picture was taken with a 2 seconds lap.
Yeah, sure. I wanted to get Jaime to his most shocking investigative UFO or alien encounter video that you've worked on. Can you explain to us the most one that kind of stands out in your mind, the smoking gun video?
Well, I believe what I was explaining you, there are a few, but let me bring 3 to my memory. The video recorded by the Air Force in Mexico back in 2004, a video that was presented in the newscast of every country around the world. The video that nobody has been able to prove that was something else, like some scientists said that these were natural phenomena, 11 lights following an airplane, surrounding this airplane, making the pilot to turn off the navigation lights to avoid confrontation. I interviewed every one of the people inside that airplane, and they were very much afraid of what happened. And so far, all the explanations that people tried to give to this have been proven wrong. Somebody said that those were oil wells. And I asked, do you remember this show, a very unfortunate show, by the way, when they went to, this was by National Geographic last year, they went to the area where this video was taken, because the video was taken 100 miles away from the wells, and they couldn't see even the ocean from the place they were with binoculars. If they couldn't see the ocean, then how can you say they were oil wells? I mean, the people who say that is because they don't have the whole information. That's one of the videos that I really think is a smoking gun.
Yes, Jaime, the amazing video that you were just speaking of, one of your most, shocking cases, smoking gun video evidence, people claiming, debunking that there's some kind of oil wells in the background. If I know what oil wells look like, these lights are moving, they're not stationary. Quite amazing video. Is there any way that we could
know that the navigation lights, and they would be so much afraid of oil wells? I mean, I think it's insulting to them. It's like an insult, because they go around that area almost every day.
Debunkers will claim, even if there was a broad daylight sighting 10 feet away, metallic flying saucer hovering, they'd still call it swamp gas, because that's the nature of people that just don't want to have an open mind about these things. But
that's
I was wanting
to tell you. There is an explanation to every video, and they try to discredit without any kind of investigation. I was telling you about one video that was presented by the national news in Mexico, a huge UFO going inside the crater. And then in May 30th, just a few months ago, another video where you can see a big object going around the crater and then turning to go inside the crater. then you have these two big evidences presented by the national news. 2 days after the event in October, the 25th of October, we had in 3 different radars, the NOAA of the U.S., the Weather Channel radar, and the National Meteorological Service of Mexico presented anomalies in their images around the central part of Mexico, a huge vortex of 600 kilometers, at least 400 miles, going around in circles and creating different formations, figures, like if they were crop circles from England. And you can see the images of these 3 different meteorological services right there. I mean, it's energy. Is that related to the UFO that went inside the crater? I don't know, probably. Then when you see the evidence, because when I talk about it, it sounds very strange. But if you see it, you will understand that that was something created on purpose, a way of communication again. And now they are using meteorological radars to create this kind of information. Then those evidences, for me, are very very important. Also, the creature of Metepec, the little creature that we found in 2007 that was given to us somehow to investigate, and we have found exactly like the creature from Atacama that is part human, but again, there is a part of it that is not human, and is not any animal known on Earth. Then we have hybrids. It's the 2 cases, even though the creatures are different, they have some similitudes, like the size, 20 centimeters, around 20 centimeters, or let's say 7-8 inches, and you have this DNA somehow very similar, demonstrating some kind of experiment, hybrids that are being created here on Earth. There are many questions. Why? Who did it? But you have the evidence right there. I have it in my possession. But it's very difficult to advance. I have 6 different analyses of DNA, and we cannot prove this because nobody's willing to take it exactly with the Atacama creature, to take it to a different level. But you have 2 cases, physical, where it's physical evidence that could prove that we are not alone. I believe those are smoking guns. There are many others, but right there you have these cases and this evidence that prove that there is something going on.
Mr. Masson, like you said, these are smoking guns. There is so much overwhelming proof that things are obviously happening. And not too long ago, we had Dr. Greer on the show, and we were talking about that humanoid creature that you apparently have a similar one. He had it tested, and it was 90% human DNA. A chimp, which is the closest to humans here on Earth, is 98% DNA. Well, this thing had an 8% difference, and that just could show that it could have 10% of God knows what. They've never gotten
exactly
that far.
Exactly the same.
Yes.
This creature from Metepec is just the same.
And if something is bipedal, 2 arms, 2 legs, two eyes, 1 mouth, 1 nose, just like a human, then it would be humanoid. So it's very conceivable that it would have a high amount of similar DNA. Several other researchers also claim that we ourselves are hybrids, so it's very possible that we would have this high level of DNA just like this humanoid creature. Now, can you tell us how you came in possession of this creature and what background of that you found?
How did I do it? How did I get it? Well, the owner of one ranch came to my office at the end of June 2007, and he brought with him a strange creature, was trapped in a rat trap. He was caught by a rat trap, and he took it to my office, and then I realized that this was really interesting, because at the beginning I thought it was some kind of monkey or something like that. Then he provided us with some pictures of the creature alive, And then I was able to find people who were witness to this creature, and they saw the creature alive. I have at least 4 people that have given me their testimony, saying that this creature was alive when they saw it, and that the pictures that I have like 10 pictures. The creature alive. This is not a monkey. This is not a peel-off monkey. This is something else. And I think we should join efforts with Dr. Greer, because we have right here another example. Why these creatures exist? Who created them? What is the reason? I don't know. I don't have any answer to that. All I can say is that the creature is really strange. It doesn't look human, but has many features like humans. For example, the feet are human. The hands are human. The head is very human in many ways, but there are other things like the body, a tail, and other things that prove that this is something else. And this is what I have is it was very close to human, but at the same time very far away. Then I believe it's something that was created with purpose, using, I don't know if human sperma or some eggs that were implanted with this to create something for some kind of experiment. And probably they left these creatures just to go away, or probably they escaped. I don't know, because when this creature was captured, there were many others around, and they saw other creatures even bigger than this one. Then that's why many call this creature a baby alien or something like that. But it's not. It's absolutely real. But again, what is the scientist who's going to take the chance to present really this? You know, we are just journalists, and then we are limited to present these cases as absolutely real, because we would need the backing of a scientist. We have found some who are willing to tell us their conclusions, but we haven't found one that wants to take the risk and present it to the world as something unexplainable.
Well, we at Third Phase of the Moon may have some connections with scientists that maybe we could help out, get people together, collaborate, and find out what this creature is. And we'd like to keep in touch in the near future.
Probably soon, but the evidence is there. I have the body. Dr. Greer has the other body. Well, they are there. And this could prove something else for the future. I don't know. But these are smoking guns, of course.
We'd really like to, while we're talking on the radio, we repeat this on YouTube, and we want to show the videos of the volcano, the one from the airplane, the amazing bright lights, and this alien creature. There's some links.
People that way would understand. And you have to show the images, of the radars, because this is the NOAA radar. You know what is the NOAA, you know what is the Weather Channel, and the National Meteorological Service in Mexico. That's another video that is really perplexing. I mean, it's really amazing in many ways.
We would love to get us videos from
the links. If you could get us the links, Mr. Jaime Maussan, so we could showcase these amazing anomalies, that would be amazing. Dr. J.
You know, Mr. Maussan, you are one of the world's leading journalists, and people look up to you, especially Latin America, and we wish America would open their eyes more so like people in South America do. What would you tell all the viewers of Third Phase of Moon what they can do themselves to help disclosure actually happen?
Well, I think it's more this should go to the journalists in your country. Ask the journalists to have the courage, those who have credibility, to investigate this phenomenon and to present it as it is. You know, that's what you need, because the people can do some things like you are doing right now in your program. You are taking in radio or internet or whatever to present it. That's what should be done. I mean, the media is the one has to change. And the people ask for more and more information to their media to create pressure on them. But unfortunately, in the U.S., many people are brainwashed, and then they think exactly as the media does, or the media tells them to think that everything is crazy and shouldn't be taken seriously, and that is why you don't have the consensus in the U.S. It's tough. It takes maybe one person in a good position in the media to do that, to start a show and present just what is happening right now in the world. In Russia, you have events like in Chelyabinsk, where you have a huge sighting and you get more than 20 videos from that. It's because the people is really active now, and they are producing the evidence. And when you have cases like that, you cannot say that the video is a hoax or something. Someone wants to take advantage of this or that. Then that's what people could do, you know, is to produce the evidence, to watch the sky, and to create pressure to take the videos to the media and make them being presented. And if you do that constantly, then probably you would create some, what can I say, interest in the media to present them continuously. I am amazed of just what I saw last week or 2 weeks ago, of videos taken in Spain and also in Los Angeles, where you see these spheres of light going around the houses, very near, going up and down, moving freely, and then taking off with incredible speed. I mean, if you think that those are balloons or some kind of trash moving by the wind, being moved by the wind, and then you see how they live exactly the same way. You know, I have 3 or 4 videos of that kind that are absolutely explosive, because you see exactly the same attitude in different parts of the world. And when these balls of light leave, they do it in a way that they create lines in the sky by the speed that they are doing. Hello?
Yeah, Blake, go ahead.
Yes, Jaime, it's been an amazing past hour speaking with you over there in Mexico, and you're working really hard. You just got back from the UK, crop circles, investigating those. What are you going to be doing next? We got a few minutes left, and I want you to explain to our audience and listeners what you have planned.
I'm going to start a show in the Spanish-speaking television in the U.S. in Galavision, the 5th of September, which is a Thursday, and every Thursday for the next 14 weeks. I hope you can watch that show, even though it's in Spanish. You will understand, because most of the show is based on evidence and videos, and I think you can get a feeling of what is happening outside the U.S. You know, unfortunately, the people in the U.S. think that everything happens there, and what doesn't happen there, it doesn't exist. And the reality is that in many places of the world, there is so much things happening right now that people should somehow give an opportunity or try to look outside the U.S. to understand what is happening. The internet is there, and I am certain that if people look around and make a little bit of homework and investigating this, even in the internet, you will find so much of what is happening. I understand that many videos on the internet are fakes or hoaxes, and this is created because YouTube pays money when you have many hits, and that's why it's attractive to some hoaxers to present videos, because that way they can make money. It's a little bit unfortunate. At the same time, that is good because you have an open channel that has no restrictions, and it's going to present the evidence that you take. At the same time, it's so free that some people take advantage of that, unfortunately, and this also creates confusion. But if you do your homework, you investigate, you look carefully, you will find the real evidence, and that's what really matters.
Well, like you said, the world collaboration, people submit their videos to Third Phase Moon from around the world. We have probably over 800 in the archives, and absolutely some are possible hoaxes, people trying to pull a fast one. We've been keeping a close eye on trying to weed out the not UFOs from the real UFOs. And what I wanted to also say is that, maybe we could collaborate, we could share some of our exclusive videos that people submit to Third Phase of Moon to your show, and maybe you can analyze and put in your perspective on what you think these UFO videos are.
We have enough experience and analysis that can help a lot to find which are the good ones from the bad ones.